to the left, and that's where that comes up. I had a hard time finding that on a mobile device. Okay. Let's get all this out, shall we? Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Let's find a seated position, sits bones rooted against the floor. I'm in fire logs pose, which is one of my favorites just because it's the underdog of seated positions. Fire logs, shins are stacked one on top of each other. I've got my right foot on top. It's a little bit different from easy pose, which is like a crisscross applesauce. Easy pose here if you prefer that. If you want to go a little further, you could come into a half lotus, where from fire logs we pull the heel of the top leg in towards that bending portion of the hip. And of course you can move all the way into full lotus if you have that in your practice, in which we pull both heels one on top of each other. Wherever you are, we by nature are going to be asymmetric, right? So one leg will be on top of the other. I'm going to let you know about halfway through our seated poses so that you can switch. So we have some balance from left to right, okay? Let's get all that breath out of there. Yoga is, well, I don't want to say that, but pranayama yoga or Vishnu yoga, they are not yoga without a connection to breath. The root word of yoga is yog, and that means to bring together. And we're going to bring together our breath and our movement today. So I want you to become very aware of that breath. Let's get all that breath out. As we exhale, let's pull that navel in towards the spine. Get all of it out. Deep breath in through the nose. Filling from bottom to top, like a glass of water, right? So we fill, and then we fill into the chest, and then even fill up into the neck and head. We can, like we're sniffing a cupcake, topping it off. Hold it there, retaining our breath. And let's exhale through the nose and mouth. Opposite direction. Head, chest. As we come down to the belly, pull that navel in towards the spine. Get all that breath out of there. I bet you have more breath. Deep breath in. And hold it. Top it off if you like. Keep those shoulders down. They're going to want to sneak up to your ears. And breathe out. Relaxing down through the nose. Let that rib cage come back together. Then all the way out to the belly. Pull that navel in. Let's keep upright, shoulders down, spine nice and straight, okay? 2 more breaths, just like that. Deep breath in. Filling with the belly, pressing that belly button out first. Then up into the lungs and the rib cage, the upper rib cage. Then up into the neck, or if you visualize it in your mind's eye, even in your head. Retain that breath, hold, and all the way out. This time, as we get all that breath out, sustain. Don't take another breath in. Stay hollow. Deep breath in. Retain. Shoulders down, long necks. And out. And sustain, no breath. And deep breath in. And just let your breath now come to a neutral resting breath. So a natural pattern of in and out, but notice maybe how it's changed from when we first started breathing. Is it a little deeper? Is it a little fuller just from bringing our awareness to it? No necessity to change your breath at this moment. We're just going to take 2 or 3 breaths in and out in your own time, letting that chest gently rise and fall, belly coming in and out, still using our diaphragmatic breath, our upper breath in our rib cage, that shallow lung breath, and then all the way up into the head. Just 2 or 3 breaths. You can go ahead and switch sides of your legs if you'd like. Kind of get a little blood flow in that other side. Take 2 or 3 more breaths here. I invite you to close your eyes or to cap your eyes and kind of have a fuzzy focus. Just relax your eyes if you're not comfortable closing them. Always in through the nose And then out through the mouth or nose. Just becoming aware of it, watching that breath. Not trying to do anything with it necessarily, just becoming aware of it. Wonderful. Okay. So right where we are, if you haven't already, switching your legs so that opposite leg is on top. We're going to take a deep breath in through the nose. And on the exhale, go ahead and invite that chin down towards the chest. Feeling a light stretch in the back of the neck. Relaxing that neck down. If you'd like to, you can interlace your fingers right behind your head, not pulling on the neck, but just allowing the weight of those hands and arms to deepen that stretch a little more. Try to stay upright in the spine here, concentrating that stretch on the back of the neck. Just around, where are we? C6 and 7 right there, that bone, and really all of the upper spinal vertebrae going all the way up into the base of the spine. Deep breath. Deep breath in. You can release that hand hold, letting your arms and hands float back down to your knees. And on the exhale, let's roll that right ear over to the right shoulder. Drawing that head to the right side. That left shoulder is going to want to creep up. Don't let it. Let it drop down. If you're struggling with that, you can even walk those fingertips out to the left-hand side to deepen that stretch along the left side of the neck, drawing that ear towards the shoulder. Couple breaths here, breathing directly into where you feel that sensation. Bring all of your focus right there. That's the mindfulness training that we're doing, is bringing our attenter, the portion of our brain that guides our attention, directly to that sensation of stretch. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, we can float that hand back to our lap, rolling that chin back down towards the chest. As we exhale and bring that navel in towards the spine, get all that breath out. Inhale, roll that left ear to the left shoulder. Feeling that stretch on the left side of the neck and the spine. Maybe even feel it down into the thoracic spine in between the shoulder blades. Once again, we can walk those fingertips out if we'd like to deepen that stretch on the right side. Bringing our awareness into that right side of our neck. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, we can float that hand back to our lap. Roll that chin down towards the chest. One more time on each side. We're going to go a little deeper. Inhale in the pose, chin to chest. Exhale, roll that ear, that right ear. So right ear should be directly over right shoulder. Be aware not to let that right shoulder creep up either. Relax, shoulder blades come down and back. If you'd like to, we can place that right palm on top of our head, just letting the weight of that palm, deepen that stretch. Walking those fingertips out if we'd like. Deep inhale and exhale. Bring that hand sky high. Chin comes down to our chest. Deep breath this time, one more time in the pose, chin to chest. We're reversing the breath here from our last cycle. Deep breath in. And exhale, roll that left ear to left shoulder. Bring that left palm, if we did so on the right, we're letting that additional weight of that hand, not pulling, just letting that weight deepen that stretch, walking those fingertips out on the right side. Check in with your spine. Are we upright front to back? Leading with the heart, shoulder blades pinched down and back. Wonderful, you all look great. Deep breath. Bringing that attention to that sensation of stretch. Exhale, hand to go sky high. Tick-tocks down as we rock that chin back down towards our chest. Wonderful. All right, we're going to bring a little more movement. We can float that hand up if you need a little assistance. You can bring that palm to your forehead and float that head upright to hover right over our shoulder blades again. Spine in one straight line. We're going to bring a little movement to our thoracic spine here. So we're going to flow through some concave, convex shapes of the body. So I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see me here. But when I talk about concave, I'm pulling those shoulders forward. I'm actually rounding those shoulders forward, rounding the spine, bringing my chin towards the chest. Convex, I'm leading with the heart. I'm over-exaggerating this back stretch, leading this heart out, pulling these elbows back like there's a rope tied between them, right? So we're coming between these two. We're going to connect this with our breath. Yoga, right? We're going to connect it together. We're going to connect our breath to our movement. So find a neutral spine, nice and upright. It's helpful for me with a position of the head to find an upright position and then a slight tilt down and back of the skull. I guess the skull rotates upward and the gaze kind of comes a little lower, like there's a string pulling us straight up, right, from the crown of our head. It's kind of a hungry pose, right, like we're focused on something in the distance. I can let that head flow back over the spine a little more naturally. Okay, so from here, I've just got a message popped up. Confirm changes. Uh-oh, you all stay right where you are. Keep breathing. Something, just want to make sure something's not going on. Oh no, I don't care about that at all. Okay, my apologies. Got a notification there. All right, back where we were. And once again, shoulders down and back, neutral spine. Let those elbows drop down towards the floor in a neutral spine, palms up on our knees, okay? And from here, we're going to exhale, pull that navel in towards the spine. Let those shoulders roll forward, bring that chin down to our chest. Rolling over that spine. Inhale. We reverse, leading with the heart, pulling those elbows back. Fingertips can drape along the floor or in our lap, either way. Leading with the heart. Head can even go straight up. Our drishti is up towards the ceiling. You can let go of that jaw if you want. Exhale. Chin to chest. Concaving that spine, curling in. Feeling that. Just bring a little fluidity here. Deep breath in, opposite direction. Head goes back, drishti up, chin down, head back. Wonderful. Exhale, we come concave. Shoulders come forward. We can even walk those fingertips forward on the mat. Inhale. Draping those fingers back. This time, let's take our fingertips and walk them behind us. Fingertips pointing backward, straightening through the arm, pushing up, leading with the heart. Exhale, those fingers come around, draping across the floor in front of us, walking forward as we round in the spine. Inhale one more time, fingertips come back, deepening the stretch each time. Base of our palm is along our base of our glutes here, along our back, elbows pressed up and back, pinching those shoulders. Leading with the heart, opening and relax. And shake those arms out. I'll turn back so I can see you all. Finding a neutral spine here. We're going to continue this type of stretch of the spine. We've done two flexations of the spine, forward and backward, right from the side, concave and convex. We're going to move side to side now. So in the same cross-legged position, if you're feeling like you need a change in circulation, you can recross your legs. Don't forget your legs are down there, right? And from here, I'm going to take this right palm, placing it down on the floor, turn that left palm up, inhaling up. My drishti is up into that left palm, relaxing that shoulder down, keeping that right shoulder from sneaking up to my ear. I'm going to exhale, seated crescent stretch. Make sure that left glute stays rooted, right? That left glute and quadricep, right? Stays rooted on the floor. If you start to come up, rock back down a little bit. We can't have any quality stretch without grounding. Let's make sure to inhale that shoulder up so that it's just over. If we were to look up into that left palm, our elbow and shoulder in one line. We have our right elbow, our right shoulder, our ears between our shoulders, shoulder and elbow, like you've got a piece of paper, a wall behind you. Deep stretch. In the pose, deep breath. Sending that breath in your mind's eye to wherever that sensation of stretch is the strongest. Turn that top hand, that left hand over. Exhale that hand down, right hand turns over, comes up. Inhale up. Stretch up like you're being pulled up by your fingertips and exhale down, opposite side. Remember, once again, open that chest to the front, the camera to my side. Don't want to tilt forward, and nice and upright. Drishti's up into our palm. Deep breath into the stretch. Turn that right palm over, pressing up. We exhale. That hand can float down to our side. Inhale, that left hand comes on. Pulling, stretching up like somebody's pulling you straight up from there. And exhale. You can drop down a little lower. Can you get a little further in this stretch while still keeping that glute rooted? Where are you today? Turn that hand over. Inhale up. Exhale that hand down. This time we're going to inhale both arms up above us. Seated volcano pose. We can do a little apple picking. We can stretch one side and then the other. Ooh, 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 ooh. Wonderful. And exhale, come seated forward fold. Chin's the last thing to come down. Arms are in front of us, walking those fingertips forward. We should feel this stretch in our upper thoracic spine, as well as in our hamstrings, potentially, depending on how your legs are crossed. Hip adductor, not hamstrings, hip adductor and abductor. Deep inhale. It's difficult in the pose, I know, because your diaphragm's compressed. But on the exhale, let's walk those fingertips over to the left side, framing our left knee in between our shoulders, walking that right hand forward, especially with cross legs in front of us. If this is in your practice, if not, back up a step or two, be where you are, be where you need to be. Deep inhale. In the pose, how does the breath change the stretch for you? Does it deepen it? Does it give you some relief? Exhale, let's swing those arms back to center. Try and walk them out a little bit further. Tuck that chin to your chest. Inhale, slowly drape those arms back on the floor as we bring them towards the edge of our mat or towards our knees, rolling up through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Head's the last thing to come up. Switch your legs. So for me, I had my right leg on top. This time I've got my left leg on top. Kind of a halfway. I'm gonna get a little sloppy there. Well, halfway to lotus pose. Deep inhale, both hands come up. Exhale, dropping that heart towards the floor, feeling that stretch on the opposite side of the hip. Boy, that's nice. Letting that head go, let those ears go between the shoulders. Deep inhale. Exhale and swing those arms over to the right side, framing that right knee with our shoulders. Gazes forward, bringing that heart down towards the floor, walking those fingertips forward. Deep breath. And exhale, try and go a little further. Find that space. As I exhale, creates a little space in the body. See if we can go a little further. Really nice. Inhale. And exhale, swing those palms forward one more time. See if we can walk them a little farther forward over our legs. You're doing wonderfully. Tuck that chin to the chest. Inhale, roll all the way up. Visualizing your mind, your vertebrae stacking one on top of each other like coins in a stack. As we reach the top, those shoulders come down and back, pinching those shoulder blades back and down, right? Head rolls up, slight tilt to the skull. Wonderful. Boy, I'm already feeling better. I hope you are too. And as we undo our legs here, we can stretch our feet forward, coming into staff pose. You may want to rock from side to side in staff pose in order to widen your base, find a little more stability there. Staff pose is deceptively simple, but it's actually a little harder than it seems. If you're not used to this position, you may already find yourself kind of coming concave. We're going to try and lead with that heart, shoulder blades down. Something that I find helps with this is straightening through the legs, rooting that knee, the back of those legs down into the floor to find more stability. Zippering those legs together, full expression of the toes, so all 10 toes nice out and high, inhaling those arms up. Exhaling down, seated forward fold. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. So I'm grabbing here to my lower shins. If you can walk your hands down to your ankles, that's great. If you can grab your ankles, boy, I'm a little stiff today. You can grab your toes. If you can already grab your toes with ease, and walk your fingertips down to your heels. Wherever you are is where you are. Connect to the breath. Deep inhale. And exhale. try within this pose to tuck those elbows in and under so that you can draw those hands back a little slightly. So what I'm trying to do here is engage my bicep. I see a lot of your heads come up. So I want to try and tuck those elbows down wherever I am. So I don't want to be entirely over my body, right? I want to tuck those shoulders and elbows down and pull, engaging those biceps. I'm not hanging on my skeleton. I'm engaging my muscles. Rooting the backs of those legs in the floor can take pressure off the back of the heel. And by shifting our feet, if you are able to grab your toes or your heels, by shifting your feet, you can actually shift this stretch between your hamstrings to your upper back. So you can kind of shift forward and backward and notice how that changes the stretch. It's not entirely a hamstring stretch. Continuing to breathe. Sending that awareness, sending that breath to the sensation of stretch. Really good stuff. Tuck that chin to your chest. Release your hold wherever it is. Drape those fingertips up to your legs. What do your legs feel like? Don't just do it. Focus on it. As we reach the top, our head's the last thing to come up. Hands can turn over. Really nice. From where we are, let's draw that right knee in towards our chest, crossing that right leg over the left. I'm going to take my right palm, place it behind me, fingers facing backward, take my left elbow across my right leg, if this is in your practice, coming to seated supine twist. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, let's see if I can twist into the stretch to send my drishti over my right shoulder. Really nice. Without coming back into the stretch, take a deep breath. Imagine that breath just going into the left lung. So if I told you too late, exhale. And in your mind's eye, imagine just breathing into that left lung. Finding that space there. Let's exhale. See if we can twist a little further. Wonderful. Nice long necks. And deep inhale. And exhale. Let's let go of the stretch, coming unwinding here. We can draw when we come back to center. We can draw that knee up towards our chest. Unwrapping those legs. Connecting, reconnecting with our breath. Maybe we want to rock side to side to widen our seat one more time. Re-engaging with the floor in staff pose. It's kind of fun. I see you all like bobbing back and forth. You're a wonderful, beautiful sight to see. I'm grateful for you. Deep breath in as we draw that left knee up towards our chest. Crossing that foot right over the other. Let's try and get all four corners of that foot on the floor. So when we talk about corners of the feet, just under the big toe, just under the little toe, and either sides of the heel on the back. We want to try and get all four corners of that foot flat on the floor. So we take that left hand behind us, fingers pointing backwards, right elbow across left knee. Exhale and twist. It's one of my favorite stretches. Continuing to breathe, breathing into the nose. Visualizing just breathing into that right lung, seeing what that feels like. Are you able to do that? Straighten through that back arm if you're able to. Exhaling with the space that we find, try and go a little further. Fingertips can be up towards the ceiling or down towards your foot. Either way. One more deep breath in, twist, see if you can go a little further. Know yourself. Only push yourself as far as you can. Challenge yourself, but be kind to yourself. Deep inhale. And releasing that stretch, coming unwinding, coming back to center. As we exhale, inhaling that left knee in towards our elbow one more time. And reconnecting with the floor in staff pose. Rocking side to side, widen that seat. Deep inhale up. Seated volcano, exhale, seated forward fold. Ooh, how is that different from the first time you did it? Hopefully it is. If not, that's okay too. So once again, I want to try and keep from coming too rounded in the shoulder and upper spine. I want to lead with my neck, turning those elbows down, engaging those biceps, bringing the heart towards the legs, not necessarily the forehead towards the knees. A couple of breaths here. Wonderful. Relaxing that chin towards our chest, releasing our hold, draping our fingertips up the legs. How does the cloth feel different? How do your legs feel different? Rolling up the spine, visualizing the vertebrae, stacking one on top of each other. Head's the last thing to come up, making any adjustments you need to make. Let's draw our legs in. Soles of the feet together, cobbler's pose. So in cobbler's pose, our fingertips, our first finger and thumb, can wrap around our big toes if we'd like. Similar to happy baby pose. I'm trying to make sure you can see me in this main view here. I'm going to scoot myself back a little bit. Alternatively, we can just wrap the palms of the hands around the ankles, or even have our palms up receptively on our knees. Whatever works best for you. Nice straight spine, open airway here, breathing into the nose. Out through the mouth, let those knees naturally drop down towards the floor. This is a yin pose, as a lot of my poses are in mindful yoga. In other words, we let gravity do the work for us. If you're ready to move forward, on your next exhalation, we can lower one more time, focusing on bringing the heart towards the floor, not the head to the feet, but nice long necks, keeping those shoulders down and back. See if we can tilt forward in this stretch, deepening this pose in that inner hip adductor, those inner muscles of the hip. Nice long necks. Deep breath with each breath in. We send reviving sustenance to our muscles, sinews, and tendons. And with each breath out, we find a little space to relax a little more into this pose. Just relax here. You've got this. Surprise yourself. I bet you'll be surprised how far you can move in this pose if we just relax and give it time within a very short amount of time. Within a single session. Deep breath in. And with the exhale, finding a little more space to lower that heart down towards the floor. A little further, really nice. Continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth in your own rhythm, relaxing into this pose. We're going to be sitting here for a few. If you need a little more challenge in this pose, we can draw those knees as close as we can to our pelvic bone. If this is a little challenging for you, go ahead and walk those feet a little farther out. Whatever you need to do to drop those knees towards the floor and relax that heart towards the legs. Deep breath. Seeing how the breath changes the pose. 2 more breaths here at your own speed. Test it out. What you thought was your limit maybe isn't now. Try it out. Push the boundaries here. Really wonderful. Tuck that chin in towards the chest. Exhaling. Inhale. Slowly roll up the spine. Very carefully here. Being aware of those inner hip adductors. As we reach the top, we can guide our legs up with our palms. Ooh, stretching them out in front of us, coming back into staff pose. Full expression of the toes, rooting the back of those legs into the floor. And exhaling, we can come forward once again to grab the shins, the ankles, the toes, and the heels, wherever you are. Little counter stretch there. All right, releasing our grip, chin to chest, rolling up the spine, picking up the pace a little. Roll up the spine. Let's transition onto hands and knees. We're going to come to a tabletop pose. In a tabletop pose, We want our knees roughly under our hips, root of the palm, bottom of the hand in line with the elbow, elbow in line with the shoulder, shoulder in line with the neck. So once again, from this side, root of that palm, bottom of that palm, all in one row here, okay? Engaging, pressing up out of the floor. Don't want to hang on our skeletons, right? Engaging, nice flat back. Oh, you all look great. Nice flat back so that you could place a glass of water on your spine, right? We want to engage with the floor, little micro bend in the elbows. So don't lock those elbows out and forward, little bend in them. So those elbows are facing outward, okay? Pressing up out of the floor, feeling that floor holding you and engaging with the floor as much as the floor engages with you. Gazing back through our knees, we want to rotate our feet so we cannot see our heels, okay? Wonderful. And on the inhale, letting that belly droop, tilting that pelvis, coming into cow pose. Our gaze goes up and back. We can let go of the jaw, but don't sink into the skeleton. Engage, nice long neck. You've seen cows, they got long necks. Our drishti's up towards the ceiling for that deep inhale. As we exhale, we can turn the pelvis, tilting it all the way up, coming through tabletop. Continue to press up through the shoulders, drawing that navel in towards the spine as we exhale. Pressing all the way up. And inhale. Coming back all the way through tabletop, engaging through the spine, nice long necks, not sinking down, tilting that pelvis up and back, coming concave in the spine, releasing that jaw, drishti to the ceiling, exhale, coming through tabletop, arching all the way up, drawing that navel in towards the spine, head comes in between the shoulders. Inhale, one more time each side, full expression of the fingers on the mat. Spread that weight out. If you're feeling a little pressure in the wrist, you can walk those fingertips forward slightly, right? So slightly towards the top of your mat to take that pressure off the wrist. And cow, and as we exhale this time in cat, let's send that seat over our heels slightly. We can kind of come into a whip motion with the spine or a wave motion. We're going to come into a bit of a flow here. So now that I'm inhaling down through tabletop into cow, I'm sending my weight over my hands slightly, and then exhaling, sending my seat over my heels as I move through tabletop up into cat. Inhaling down, so a bit of a wave motion here. Inhaling forward and down, exhaling back and up. In your own speed, connecting your breath with your movement. The last time as we reach the bottom of cow, let's switch directions. So inhale as we come and send our weight forward over our hands. Exhale as we come up into cat. Inhale, sending our glutes over our heels, coming through tabletop into cow. And as we come forward, exhaling. Spine goes up towards the spine, chin to chest, inhaling up and back. So doing whatever you need to do here, moving as forward or as far back as you'd like. Maybe pausing in one place if you'd like to, or whatever spot you have that maybe wants a little more attention. Come into a bit of a flow here. And when you're ready, let's find meet me back in tabletop, re-engaging with the mat, spreading those fingertips out, flat neutral spine. Okay. Once here, deep breath, gazes straight down the floor between the hands. And exhale, let's send that gaze around our left shoulder. See if we can catch sight of that left heel coming into a crescent stretch. Feeling that pinch in between that left hip and left bottom of our rib cage, stretching the right side of the body. Inhale, come back forward. Opposite side, send that gaze around the right side, sending the hips to the left. See if we can catch sight of that right heel on the opposite side. Inhale, we come back to center. Breath is going to change here, but the stretch is going to stay the same. So deep inhale, exhale that breath around the left side, just like before, pressing through those hands, keeping those knees and those shins rooted to the floor. Exhale as we stretch. Stay in the pose though. Stay right here and breathe just into that right lung. It's wide open. Letting that stretch deepen the pose, or that breath deepen the stretch. And exhale as we come back to center. So we added another little half breath there. Exhale to center, re-engage with the mat and the floor. Inhale. Belly goes right down to the floor. Exhale, send that gaze over or around the left shoulder, pressing those hips to the left. See if we can catch sight of that right heel, staying in the pose as we exhale, inhaling just into the left lung. And exhaling, we come back to center. Really nice. Let's tuck those feet behind us, walk our glutes, sending our weight over our heels, coming into child's pose here. In child's pose, our fingertips can be straight ahead of us, fingertips forward, so we get a bit of a stretch in the upper back. Or if that's too much for you, you'd like a different variation, we can draw those hands back towards our feet, keep those palms upright, bring the forehead or side of the face to the mat. Child's pose really has two variations here, well, a lot of variations, but we can walk those knees out a little bit towards the edges of the mat if we'd like to have a little more stretch in the inner hip, or we can keep those knees close together and keep that stretch in the upper back, which is what I'm doing. Connecting with our breath. And lifting that head up, walking those hands out, come back into tabletop pose, re-engaging with the mat, micro bend in the elbow, base of the palm under the elbow, elbow under the shoulder, gazing back through the legs, heels hidden behind our shins, turning those toes over, sending those hips sky high, downward facing dog, the bread and butter of yoga. And downward facing dog, if we were to gaze back down between our legs, once again, we're going to rotate those heels outward so we cannot see our heels behind our feet. Can draw those feet down towards the floor, pedaling it out, walking one side and then the other if we'd like. Head should be in between our shoulders, ears like a clangor and a bell between our shoulders. Pressing through our hands, drawing those heels down towards the floor. And inhale, come up on the toes, pressing up to the toes. In ballet, they call this a releve. Exhaling, drop those heels back down one more time. From here, we're going to walk those hands slightly forward towards the front of the mat, coming into a nice high plank. In our plank pose, we want to make sure that belly doesn't droop, that butt isn't too high, and that back is nice and flat, okay? Engaging, pressing up out of the mat, not sinking into the shoulders, right? Nice and long, pressing those heels back. You've got this. This is a challenging pose. You've got it. We're going to hold it for 2 breaths. Exhale completely. Full expression of the fingers, pressing through all our joints. Deep inhale. And exhale. Draw that navel up towards the spine. It'll strengthen those abdominals. Inhale, send that belly out. Feeling the strength of that breath. Exhaling. Last time, inhale. Tucking those elbows in, chaturanga down, slow as we can. Drawing ourselves down towards the floor, really nice. Turn those toes over. My hands naturally are right between my shoulder blades. From here, I can walk my hands forward, keeping my elbows just under my shoulders. I come into Sphinx pose, hands straight out, full expression of the finger. From here, if I visualize drawing my weight back, right? So with my hands rooted, I draw back, pulling that heart forward. We'll deepen this stretch. Nice long necks. Reconnecting with the breath. Leading with the heart. Don't sink into the shoulders, nice and tall. Feeling that stretch in the thoracic spine between the shoulder blades. And from here, we can place that left hand right in the center of the mat, rolling up through our spine. We'll deepen that stretch just slightly. Straightening through that left arm, we can bring that right arm up and thread the needle. We're going to bring that hand down in between the space made with our elbow and our abdomen. We're going to roll over on top of that right arm, stretching those left fingertips forward, feeling that stretch on the outside of the shoulder, relaxing that forehead down towards the mat if that's in your practice today. This is a deep stretch. Experiment with it. Adjust that arm. Is it a little higher? Is it a little lower? You will feel sensation. Trying to draw both those shoulders down towards the floor. Reconnecting with our breath here. Relaxing down to the pose, letting another yin pose where gravity does the work for us. And walking that left hand back towards our face, we can plant that hand down in the center of the body, pressing up through that left hand. Bring that right arm out. Wiggle those fingertips, get a little breath in, or a little fresh blood in them. We're placing that right hand, that left hand with the right. So bring that right hand straight down into the mat. Inhaling that left arm up. Exhaling, thread the needle opposite side. So it comes in between that space between our forearm and our abdomen. And I'm exhaling to relax down on the mat. Drawing those shoulders down towards the floor. If this is too much for you, there's no harm in that. We can always come back to a child's pose here and reconnect with our breath, making the adjustments that you need to make through this stretch, letting gravity do the work. Focusing on the breath, sending the breath to the sensation of stretch. Each breath in, bringing sustenance and nourishment. Each breath out, sending that inflammation and tension. Walking that right hand back towards the body, right in the center of our spine. Walking both hands out now, rooting those palms ahead of us. We come nice and tall into a cobra. You don't need to crank up into cobra. You can bend into that elbow if you like, or you can walk those fingertips forward. We should feel that stretch in the lower back just above the hips. Nice long necks. Don't sink down our shoulders. If you're sinking down your shoulders, walk those fingertips forward. If you'd like a little more stretch, a little more sensation, we can walk those hands back towards our hips. Legs should be flat on the floor behind us. Backs of the feet against the floor. And walking this back wherever you need to be, deepening the stretch as much as you'd like. Another deep stretch. Treat yourself with kindness. Couple of breaths here. Keep walking those hands back to deepen that stretch as long as we can straighten through the arm and have nice long necks there. Ooh, that's nice and deep for me right there. And lowering just slightly to shift that weight up, lifting those hips off the floor, walking those knees forward slightly, and coming back, counter stretch into child's pose. Should feel pretty good, walking those fingertips forward. And walking those hands back towards our knees. We come to one of my favorite poses, just hero's pose, where we sit back on top of our heels, straightening up through the spine. Reconnect with ourselves here, getting upright once again, right? Shoulders drawn down and back. find this is a great pose for meditation. A lot of times I want to sink forward if I'm sitting for a long period of time, and I find that's hard to do in hero's pose. Palms up receptively on the lap. This can be kind of deep in the knee. If this is deep in your knees, you can try bringing a pillow or a bolster underneath your seat. We won't stay here for too long though, but for future reference. It can also be a little hard on the back of the leg. If that's so, you can double over your mat behind you underneath your feet. Give yourself a little more cushion. Just feeling the security of this pose. Okay, walking those hands out in front of us. Coming back into tabletop pose just for a moment to align those legs, turning those toes over, sending those hips sky high with an inhale. And exhaling, rocking those heels down towards the floor. Downward facing dog. Is it different from your first one today? Shifting that weight to the right heel. We can take the weight off of our left. Sending that leg sky high, three-legged dog. And we can bend into that knee and open that hip to the side of the room if we like. Do a couple circles with that ankle. Continuing to breathe. And we can inhale that knee to our chest. And we can step or walk, assist that hand or that leg forward. We come into runner's pose. Nice and low. Sending that heel back. Obtaining our balance here. Once you feel like you've maintained balance, we can sweep those fingertips back, sweep them forward, lifting up. Warrior one. Deepen that breath. Hands, palms are facing one another, sky high, fingertips towards the ceiling. Deep inhale and exhale, we drop that heel, sending that right arm back. We can gaze over those right fingertips just to make sure they're in line with our shoulder. Bring our gaze up front. Looking down at our knee, we want to make sure that that knee is directly over our toes. We don't want it to be beyond our toes. We don't get to one side, left or right. Nice and straight there. I don't know if you can see me in the mirror. Maybe you can. I want to bring my hips open towards this wall, right? Like two headlights, right? So don't be too far this way. I want to rotate those hips forward, fingertips straight back, fingertips forward, gazes over the front, fingertips right down that middle finger. Once again, gazing down at the knee, making sure it's in line with the foot. Deep in the stretch, bending into that knee. On an exhale, bending into that elbow, dropping that elbow down to knee, sending that right arm up, triangle pose. Deep inhale, draw those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale that arm forward, humble warrior. Or no, I guess this is warrior three. Turning that shoulder over, we come back down to frame the foot, lifting that heel in the back, come back into runner's lunge. Shifting our weight into our hands, can walk that left leg back, come into plank pose. Hold that for a few. On an inhale, we send those hips sky high, walking those hands back slightly. We come into downward facing dog. Pedaling this out if you'd like. You can draw those feet towards the floor, shifting our weight to our left heel, sending that right leg sky high, three-legged dog, opposite side. And we can open in that hip, bend into the knee, do a couple circles with that ankle if we'd like. Deep inhale, draw that knee up towards the chest, and then walk or step that right leg forward, runner's lunge, opposite side. We feel like we've regained our balance. We can shift that weight into our feet, drawing those fingertips back and forward, lifting up, leading with the heart, letting those hips sink down, sinking deep into that right knee. Warrior one. Deep inhale. Into the belly, send that diaphragm out. Then drop that heel behind us, send that left arm back, right arm forward, gazing momentarily over those fingertips. Just to make sure that left hand is in line with our shoulder. Once again, we're going to bring those hips on the right side open to that side view, like two headlights there. While looking down in between our armpit and our abdomen, we should be able to catch sight of our knee, just hovering over our toes. Right arm forward, sinking into that leg. Continue to breathe. You guys are doing great. Deep inhale, exhale, bend forward, drop that elbow down onto the knee. We're not really putting weight there. We're just resting it there. Inhale that left arm forward as though we're being pulled up by those left fingertips. We're not really sinking into that right elbow. And deep inhale, exhale. We come forward, warrior three. Deep inhale, we turn that left shoulder over. Exhale, bring those hands down to frame the front foot. Turning that foot over in the back, coming back on our toes, lifting that heel, shifting the weight to our hands. Send that right foot back. Plank pose. How are we doing so well? 2 breaths here. Breathing into the diaphragm. That should help with the stability. Pressing back into those heels. Drawing that navel up towards the spine. 1 more deep breath. Sending it all the way out. Exhaling. Last time. Deep inhale. Tucking in those elbows. Dropping down slow as we can. Chaturanga down. Wonderful. Little rest here. Turn those feet over. Drop them down. Hands can come to either side. We can bring that face towards the floor. Regain our breath here. And bringing that chin towards our chest, coming up into tabletop pose. Coming up, we can rock all the way up, crossing our legs behind us. We can come to a seated position. We need to scoot forward on our mat, transitioning through staff pose. We can come to our final pose, slow as you can, with an exhale. Lower that body down, leading with the heart. It's like a reverse crunch here. Slow as you can, continuing to breathe. Drop those shoulders, nice straight line. Ooh, yeah, your body's shaking. You're working. Continue to breathe. Do slow as you can, drawing those shoulders down towards the floor. Hover, hover, hover just before you drop to the mat. You've got this. You've got this. And relax as we drop all the way down to the floor, coming into Shavasana. Final stretch of the day. Final pose of the day. In Shavasana, our legs are zippered together. You can let those toes fall out to either side. Hands are on either side of the body. Drawing those pinky fingers down towards the heels will help separate those shoulder blades in the back. Palms open towards the ceiling. Reconnecting with that breath. If you'd like to, you can bring those hands upright, fingertips towards the sky, palms together. You can rock from one side and then the other to open up, widen those shoulder blades before exhaling those hands back down towards the floor. Just getting a little wider on the mat. Little tilt to the head as well here. We don't want the top of our head on the floor. Little tilt. Still maintaining some space between the chin and the chest. Relaxing here in this pose, reconnecting with the breath. You earned it. Letting the belly gently rise and fall. As we come into our final pose. Becoming aware of the breath again, not trying to change it. Just being aware of it. Each time our mind starts to wander away from our breath, away from the sensations of our body or the sound of my voice, just gently remind it, bring it back. The moment you realize that your focus has wandered, you're already back. So in the words of John Kabat-Zinn, rather than beating ourselves up, John Kabat-Zinn says we should welcome ourselves home. Welcome home. That first time, oh, my mind was wandering. Just bring it back to this present place right now. Bring it back to your breath. The feeling of your belly gently rising and falling. The feeling of the clothing against your skin. Support of the mat beneath you. Feeling of the air against your skin and face. The sounds of the room and the sounds of my voice. Re-engaging with that. And as your brain, as your mind has new thoughts, as minds do, Just gently bringing it back. This past weekend was Easter. For those of you that celebrate, and for those of you that don't, spring is nearly on its way. Either way, I'm reminded of the themes of rebirth. The Dalai Lama was once quoted saying, "Every night as I lay down to sleep, I die, and every morning I am born anew." So I encourage you as we begin to close our practice for the day to ask yourself how you are going to start tomorrow and indeed even start the rest of today, going into this weekend anew with new life. Shavasana, the pose that we're all enjoying now, is called corpse pose. It's a preparation for death. And indeed, every day we lie down and make still our bodies, we leave ourselves in one way. And every time we open our eyes, whether it's from sleep and a new day or after a practice like we've just enjoyed, we start anew. How do you plan to start anew? What have you been meaning to do? What can we harness the power and the energies of the seasons? And just as the grass pokes through the mud, what's something new that brings life and vitality to your day? I life you now, we start to come back into the space, back into our bodies, back into this time. I'd love for each of you to start to wiggle a toe or wiggle a finger, bringing some life back into the body. Is there something that you'd like to set, maybe an intention you'd like to set for yourself, or a decision that you've made to start anew? As you set that intention or those thoughts now, as you let your breath get a little deeper, bringing some movement into your body, maybe wiggling the muscles of your forehead and face. We can bring our feet flat onto the floor, bringing those knees towards the ceiling. And when we're ready, we can come to an upright and seated position. That's it for today's practice, folks. I hope you enjoyed Mindful Yoga with Stephen. That's me. I intend to be here in the ether, in the World Wide Web for as long as you all keep coming. Fridays at 4, tell your friends. The link is always the same, by the way, for the Zoom invite. It's always the same. That's the unique link. You can always find us here. I hope this was helpful for you. I'll hang around a couple of minutes after we finish up here to answer any questions that you may have. If that's it for you, have a wonderful weekend. I hope you carry this practice in for the rest of your days and a wonderful week to follow. So we will finish today's practice the way we traditionally finish every practice by saying namaste meaning the highest power in me honors and sees that highest power, that light in each of you, and it truly does. So namaste. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.